Hey, y'all, Elise Smith here, and welcome to the Socially Awesome Podcast, where we empower mompreneurs to implement simple social media strategies into their businesses and elevate their online presence. I'm a mompreneur of three, an affiliate marketer, a network marketer, an influencer, a social media marketing agency owner, and your personal guru. I am here to give you tips, tricks, and tools that you need to build your social media business. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to the Socially Awesome channel. Elise Smith here, and I'm very excited today to be bringing you another female entrepreneur who specializes in transformation, strategy, energy, mindfulness, all the goodness, guys. I have got Linda Youssouf with me today. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And, we're going to keep it super casual as usual with all of our interviews. I like to just ask how you got into entrepreneurship. What inspired you? How did you develop, what you offer to your audience now? Because I know there's a lot of budding entrepreneurs out there or people who've got the thing on the side and they want to take it full time. So today we're just going to have chit chat. I'm excited. Yeah. With that being said, tell me, how did you get into entrepreneurship?
Thanks for that question. So for myself, I definitely had, a lot of experience working in-house with organizations and corporations and whatnot. And a facet of what inspired me to go into entrepreneurship and have my own company was really around, devising a pathway where it integrated my interest in a way where it was at the forefront of my work. I think a lot of people can kind of resonate with the fact that, you'll have all these ideas and, unique, innovative ways you want to go about in implementing something, for example, but you're bound by the policies and, the strategic direction of the organization, rightfully so. And sometimes there can be a misalignment, or it can feel a bit stifling because maybe you're just kind of thinking 5 steps ahead, or, you kind of want to, insert some different ideas that, break the mold of convention in some sort of fashion or form. And so for me, I always knew it was going in that direction. And so that's what inspired me to kind of move my work within my own company. And in tangent with that too, I think what entrepreneurship allows for a lot of people to kind of play around with is really expand your bandwidth in which how you can support people with your skills, and also transferable skills as well. So you can do a lot of things, obviously within your comfort zone, to kind of take your skill set and say, what are some of the other ways I can help people with the, my interests or the work that I do? And so interjecting like unique ways you can help people in a multitude of pathways, which if, you're within an organization, you're really bound to the title of the role and you're quite limited, right? Unless you kind of progress through that ladder. So in a gist, that's what kind of inspired me to kind of expand in that direction.
That's so powerful. And I remember when you and I chatted on the Connect call that, you did take your experience from corporate and develop it and use it to develop what you offer now, which is similar to what I did. And I think that's where a lot of other female entrepreneurs might be struggling, is like, what do I have to offer? And I'm like, the skills you're doing currently, if you love them, you can turn it into a business, right? You don't have to do it for someone else.
Yeah.
So ultimately that's gold. So tell me a little bit about what you actually, I know you touched on it a little bit, but you have like courses and you have a lot of different options to work with you, like your breakthrough sessions. So tell me what a breakthrough session looks like. Let's start with that.
Yeah, so a breakthrough session essentially is a 90-minute potent session where someone will have a conscious awareness of a specific barrier that they need to kind of really unravel in a more focused way. And so it's kind of really built, bringing our full focus and honing in on what that barrier is and unpacking it. So there's a multitude of tools that will be interjected in that particular session. But taking a step back, it's really also doing kind of a scan of what's really at play around, what's stopping that particular individual from moving forward. And the reason why I hone in on one specific thing is because a lot of times people will come in with a multitude of things thinking it's like 5 or 6 things. But when you dig deeper, it's really one core thing. And that's where we typically have the biggest resistance psychologically, somatically. And when we start to unpack it, it can bring about a lot of stuff, right? And so what a breakthrough session allows one to do is to get really clear on what is really the barrier and focus on unpacking that. And that typically tends to be a great, expedited way to start moving in through that work from a transformational perspective. And then if there is an interest in working longer term, it serves as a very strong foundation to work from. So, and what tends to happen with a lot of my clients is they'll realize that things start coming up in their life that they're like, wait, what's going on? And it's like, yeah, because you've hit something there, and your life will echo back in response to what you've hit. So really pay attention to your reality, because, we are all energetic beings. I really, really have seen that in my life and with the people I've worked with. So, yeah.
So it's all about clarity, which I love.
Yeah.
Trying to get that clarity. So do you work a lot with, who would you say is like your ideal client? Do you work with a lot of like professional women that are in the workspace currently? Is it mostly entrepreneurs? Like, who is your ideal person to work with?
Yeah, so there's 2 facets of my world. So there's definitely the coaching facet where I'll work one-on-one, more specifically focusing on that individual and their aspirational and inspirational goals and what they're working on specifically. So I work with a lot of people who are starting out in their business and they have all these ideas, or they even haven't started anything and they want to transition from maybe a 9-to-5 to a particular business. And so a core facet of my work will, focus on the individual. Obviously, I say you are the common denominator in anything that you do. And then a lot of my work is also tied to, if they're specifically wanting to kind of tie that with building a strategy around their business, strategic elements as well. So that it's a bit of both. Another thing that I work with people too is a lot of people that are dealing with burnout and really the fast-paced productivity nature of a lot of Western society. Like we're fueled by go, 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 and really interjecting more mindfulness and slow. And a lot of people will call it like slow business and slow way of working, which actually makes one more productive. But there's a lot of like nervous system work, really honing in on like what are the specific things and resistance you have to that type of way of working and functioning, which a lot of people crave, but they don't think is possible psychologically. So there's that. And then from a consulting facet, I work with a ton of organizations and leadership teams, really honing in from a transformation perspective. You want to take your company from A to B, you've got to treat the people like humans. And so kind of working with them twofold as a leader and, an owner of an organization or a business, whether it's small. I've worked with like CEOs of like multi-billion-dollar organizations, and I've worked with small organizations. And so working with them as leaders to really be kind of those champions of like change and like owning what facets they kind of have to kind of, I would say like basically kind of echo and really integrate within themselves so they can kind of align to that. And then also like the processes and the ways in which they structure their organization strategically to move forward in that way. So there's that facet too. So yeah, so there's a number of ways to work with me. And then in tangent with that too, courses as well. So right now I'm in the midst of creating an audio course where I do a lot of the way I describe it, it's kind of a combination of like sound healing, the power of words, and a lot of it's basically intended to trigger relaxation somatically. And so audio course is really just to kind of help people come back home to themselves. And they're intended to be very simple, because what I find in this realm of work is people tend to and understandably overcomplicate healing and overcomplicate the journey to which they can come back to themselves more grounded. And so really kind of distilling all of these different modalities in a very simplistic way that can really help people resonate with themselves and the process. So there's that. And then I'm in the midst of creating a new one-to-one package, like long-term 3 to 6 month program to work more specifically with people on the journey of coming, focusing on themselves. And then at the end of that journey, it's like, now that you really have connected with yourself, what do you want to build? What do you want to build from this, right? Because if we're building from a state of disarray, most likely our reality will echo that back to us. So yeah.
Oh, very cool. And it all sounds, of course, like you said, very energetic, which I love. But it also sounds like there's not really a quick fix, guys. This is like going through the work. The clarity session or the breakthrough session is going to give you that, like you said, that foundation. But then there's other elements to continuing that work, is what it sounds like to me. It's definitely something you continue on from. And I love that you work with organizations as well, because I feel like if an organization is willing to invest in their people and bring someone on like you, some of us have entrepreneurial spirit and some of us don't care to work for ourselves. We have people that want to be in the workplace, and but having a company that invests in you is huge. And it sounds like you've got quite a few companies that have made that choice to move forward and make sure that the workplace is awesome. So I love that. So tell me, what does it look like to prepare to work with you? Do people need to do any kind of prep work? Is that something that, it might sound like a silly question, but I just feel like I don't know, right? I've never done a breakthrough session. So tell me a little bit about what kind of preparation and what they would need to do to prepare to work with you.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I intentfully, set up a questionnaire that will be probed upon, inquiring for a breakthrough session on my website. And from there, it's really, if there is an opportunity from that review of that questionnaire, once I receive it, to kind of ask more questions, I will do so, just to make sure that the individual is prepared and understands what is needed. And what I like to do is, it's not necessarily a blanket approach. I'm very, very mindful of where the person's at. And so that is the intent of the questionnaire, to really see and hone in. Very simple set of questions, but to hone in on like where that person truly is, reading between the lines and inquiring more deeply of like, what are they looking for at the end of the session? Because I really try to be, it's a fine balance of understanding the self better, but it's also coming to a solution in some way, right? And as you said earlier, it's not about a quick fix. Right. And so I do definitely have a prerequisite understanding that this is not a quick fix. This is about, are you in a place where you're willing and open to diving deeper? Because there will be things that will come up, and there's a lot of tools that we can kind of come into play in terms of integrating with supporting that individual. But aside from the tools, it's like, where are you at mentally, emotionally, energetically? And I also kind of read that as well. And I will echo back what I'm sensing. So they walk away with a better understanding of where they're at foundationally and what they're open to next steps. So yeah.
Yes. That's great. And then for your audio course, how would you recommend people use that? Is it something that you would get and you would listen once a day? Is it something they binge? Is it, because this audio course to me is super cool. Like, that's definitely something that they could do. A lot of people can't commit to maybe like coaching or consulting because of a time constraint, but audio course, you could, play it in the car, you can play, wherever. So how would people use that audio course to get the most out of it?
Yeah. So the audio courses, and I kind of say this within the course, information facet, like the front page, but basically what you want to do is you want to ensure you are grounded before you sit with the audio course. So I wouldn't necessarily advise like doing it while you're multitasking. It's very much, it's very important to be intentful about ensuring that your focus is at play with the audio courses, and they're intentionally not intended to be more than 30 minutes of your time, right? So, and they're broken up in bite-sized pieces because it's really kind of intentionally working with someone's potential level of resistance and chipping away at it very slowly, which works with the nervous system. So with the audio course, what's really great about it, because I do have a current one right now. It's Awakening to Your Truth. And I think at this point, almost 5,000 people have taken it. So like, you know, it's the feedback I've received is some people have, you know, done it once, devoted a module for like per week. Some people have done a module per month. And some people have done a module per day, but then they've kind of gone through the whole course and repeated it. What I recommend is whatever you do and how you go about what feels right to you to go through it, do that. Make sure you're dedicating 30 minutes of alone time to focus on it, but definitely repeat it at least 2 to 3 times because repetition is what moves us towards behavior shift, right? So listening through it once will be more of kind of like a softening and warming up to what you learn and what you start to integrate, but you'll start to notice the difference like after 3 times of doing the course, which is really beneficial. And it's like, you know, you have it for life. You can listen to it how many ever times you want to for sure, but at least 3 times for sure. Yeah.
That is not anything I would have guessed, which obviously you probably tell people when they purchase it, but I would never have thought to, you know, listen to it a certain amount of times. But I'm sure, again, like you said, the repetition, the more you hear it, the more it sinks in.
Yeah.
Such goodness. So this was great. This was great. And I know we've got some invites for the listeners, right? So first and foremost, social media wise, where do you like people to connect with you?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on Instagram. I am Linda WY. So I am LINDAWY. I'm trying out Threads, very new for all of us. So same name on there. We're all figuring it out. So it's like, you can find me on there and I'm figuring it out. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. So I'm there, same name. I am Linda WY. Those are the 2 areas as well. And then you can check out my website at www.lwara.com.
Awesome. And everything will be linked, guys, in the show notes where you can just click on it as well. So one question before I let you tell them about your free resource, because you've got tons of resources on your website too. So guys, if you're listening, go check out her site because she has all of her meditation tracks and quite a few things on the website. But one question I like to ask all of our entrepreneurial guests is if you had, what is one thing you wish you would have known before you jumped into this on your own? Like, is it boundaries? Would it have been, everyone's journey is different because there's so many entrepreneurs out there that are struggling right now with imposter syndrome and all these other things, right? And either they don't feel like they're winning or maybe they need some energetic healing. It could be a lot of things. But before you jumped into entrepreneurship full time, what is something you wish? What's a piece of advice you wish someone might gave you?
Oh, that's such a great question. Yeah. So I think it's twofold, and maybe I'll try to combine it into one. But I would say I didn't anticipate what a catalyst it would be for my own personal development. And so it will trigger you in ways that you probably don't fathom quite yet. So if you're triggered by everyday things outside of work, buckle up, it will trigger you. And really, I think what I had wished someone had told me is it is so important to build your level of resilience in tangent with patience, because I think that combination will really support you for the long haul. People quit way too fast. And it's not to say that you shouldn't quit some things, but definitely, the resilience factor comes into play to say, hey, don't quit because it's like, you don't believe in yourself. Really, really push yourself to kind of stretch And also another thing I'll add is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That is a huge thing. Like if you're one of those people that discomfort throws you way off, you just like, it's like a repellent. I would say tread lightly into entrepreneurship. But what gets people really, expedites their growth within this realm is they're definitely comfortable with being uncomfortable. So, yeah.
Oh, yes. That's awesome. And that's so accurate, I can say, because I just hit 1 year full-time entrepreneur last month. And I'm telling you, like, I'm an entirely different person. And people keep telling me that, when I see them in person or out and about in town, people that know me in real life, she's not even the same person. I'm like, I have grown so much because I had to hold myself accountable. I had to have boundaries. I had to you start developing as a person. And really my energy, just because we talked so much today about energy, is different, because if it doesn't serve me or my family or make us happy or, help me put food on the table for my kids, it's not worth my time.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, I want to feel fulfilled as a person. I don't want to just go through life, floating. So that growth alone really does change you as a person. Like you said, it triggers you because you're like, man, I've been doing this for years, and this is now I'm admitting I don't like doing it, or whatever that is. Cooking, I don't like cooking anymore, so I'm not going to cook anymore, or whatever. But just really getting that clarity for yourself. And I love that. This was so good. So tell us a little bit about the workbook, because I know you have a workbook. And guys, this will be linked in the show notes below. It's a free resource that Linda is giving you, so you can click it below. But what can they expect to get out of this workbook, and why should they grab a copy?
Yeah. So upon signing up for the email community, you'll get this mindful workbook, and it's really intended to give you 3 quick ways to, no matter where you're at, like if you're in the office or just, on a weekend, there's 3 potent exercises that are specifically associated with regulating the nervous system. And they're intended to be very bite-sized, but really effective. I've tried them myself and I've experienced such great things with them. And then there's, some space for you to kind of calibrate and process all of the things that come up in doing that. And there's also some instructions, linked to supportive videos within that workbook. So all the great things. And then in tangent with that, upon signing up, you'll also get a discount code for a breakthrough session. So if you're interested in that as well, you get that as well. So yeah.
Such goodness. So you guys, make sure that you snag it in the comments. That is so great. And I appreciate you being here with us today. This was great. I told you when we met on our Connect call, I'm like, I don't think I've had anybody like that on the podcast to share. And I myself have just been learning over the last year about energy and just all of that too. But this is a first. So I was just so grateful that you were here and we got to connect. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is great.
Of course. You guys, make sure that you go follow Linda. You snag all of her resources. And until next time, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome. Bye, guys.
Hey, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I'm Elise Smith, your host, and let me tell you how you can get a free social media audit from me. Make sure that your profile is optimized and you're ready to build. Take a screenshot of you listening to this episode, throw it in your stories and tag me. You can find my handle in the show notes. I will share it to my entire audience, and you will be entered to win one of the 5 free audits that I'll be doing every single month. Number 2, if you found any value out of this episode or any of my episodes at all, please feel free to leave a review. It is the best compliment you can give. Lastly, make sure you check out the link to get into my free community, Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. It's in the show notes. We go live in there weekly with guest trainings and more. Until next time, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome.